this is Mrs. Clark, and welcome to my video on solving inequalities. So we're going to be practicing solving 1 and 2 step inequalities. We've already done solving 1 and 2 step equations. We've also learned how to graph solutions, but now we're going to combine those things together. So here we're going to solve the inequalities below. We're going to show our work because we're going to show our inverse operations. And then we're going to graph the inequalities on the number line. So we're going to graph our solutions on the number line here. So that's one added step that we didn't really have before. And the reason we have to do that is because if we look at this inequality, x plus 2 is less than 6. We're going to have lots of different things that x could be. When I add 2 to them, it's less than 6. For instance, we know when I take 1 and add 2 to it, it's 3, and that's less than 6. So that's one possible solution. 0 plus 2 is 2, which is less than 6. That's another possible solution. So we want to show all of the solutions to the inequality. And the way we do that is we solve this very similarly how we would if it was an equation. So we want to figure out what x is. We want to get our inequality statement for the solution for x, but it's adding 2 to the x. So we need to do the inverse of that. So it's the same idea using inverse operations. If it says x plus 2, I'm going to do minus 2, and I'm going to do it underneath the 2 there so that they cancel out. And if you were going to draw a line, it would kind of be right here where this inequality is. I want to also subtract 2 on the side where the 6 is. So that's going to give me x over here. These 2 and negative 2 are going to cancel out because inverse cancels out. And I'm going to have less than 6 minus 2, which is 4. So any value for x that is less than 4 is going to be a solution to this inequality. And so the way we graph that solution on the number line is we go to 4, we put an open circle because it's less than. We don't want to include 4 because if we include 4, then it's equal to 6. And then less than is going to be the numbers over here, smaller than 4, which is this way. So I'm going to shade this in, a nice thick line here with a nice thick arrow, showing that every number less than 4, so 3.999999 and less, are all going to work as solutions to this inequality. So we're just kind of combining the two ideas of solving inequalities and graphing their solutions, solving equations and graphing their solutions to solve these inequalities. So here x minus 5 is greater than 1. We're going to add 5 because that's the inverse of subtracting 5. We're going to add it on both sides of the inequality. And we're going to get x is, cancel that out, greater than 1 minus 5. So in my calculator, type in 1 minus 5, and I get negative 4. So x is greater than negative 4. So now, I did that wrong. Sorry, I'm going to add 5 on both sides. See, I didn't do the same thing. I messed up here. 1 plus 5 is actually 6. There we go. That makes more sense with our number line. Okay. So x is greater than 6. So I'm going to go down to 6. I'm not going to include the 6. I'm going to open circle it on the 6. And I want the numbers that are greater than 6, which are 7, 8, 9, 10. These numbers over here. So I'm going to shade it this way to the right, showing all the numbers greater than 6 are going to work for this inequality. All right, moving on to the next one. Now we have a 2-step inequality. So first, I'm going to have to get rid of this adding 1 here. Then I'm going to get rid of the 2 that's in front of the x. So the inverse of adding 1 is subtracting 1. I'm going to subtract it on both sides. I'm going to bring the 2x down because I didn't do anything with that yet. These are going to cancel out. I'm going to have less than or equal to 11 minus 1, which is 10. Then I'm going to go one more step and say if it's 2x, it means it's 2 times x. So I have to divide by 2 on both sides of my inequality. And these are going to divide out. I'm going to get x is less than or equal to 5. So to graph that, I go to 5. This time I'm going to fill it in because I want it to be equal to 5, but I also want it to be less than 5. And numbers smaller than 5 go this way. So I'm going to shade it this one this way. All right, and last one here. 3x plus 7 is greater than or equal to 19. I'm going to get rid of this plus 7 by subtracting 7 on both sides. So I'm going to get 3x, cancel those out, is greater than or equal to 19 minus 7, which is 12. I'm going to divide by 3 because 3x means multiply. Cancel those out. X is greater than or equal to 4. Go to 4. Equal to means fill it in. Greater than, numbers bigger than 4 are this way. I'm going to shade my arrow that way. So it's very simple. We've done this before with solving equations. We just are adding that last little step of graphing the solution to show all of the different solutions to the inequality. We do have one little special case that we're going to talk about here at the bottom. So we have this special case. And the reason this is a special case is because of basically the first step I have to do. This is a one-step inequality. But this one step that I have to do involves dividing both sides by a -3. Whenever I divide both sides by a negative, what's going to happen is it's going to change the inequality. What happens is these are going to cancel out and I'll have x, but x isn't going to be greater than the number here. It's actually going to be less than the number. So anytime I divide or multiply by a negative number, I have to flip the sign to the other way around. Because what happens is this was a positive 12, but when I divide it by this -3, it becomes a -4. And the reason x has to be less than -4 is because if I look at a number that is greater than -4, for instance, the number 2, if I do -3 times 2, that's going to be -6. That is not going to be greater than 12. That's smaller than 12. So numbers bigger than -4 don't work. If I choose maybe the number 5, -3 is also bigger than -4, times 5 equals -15. That is not greater than 12. So the numbers that end up being greater than 12 are the numbers when I take -3 and I multiply it by another negative number. But specifically a number smaller than -4, like -5, for instance. -3 times -4 will make a positive 15. And that is going to be greater than 12, so that works. So a number that's smaller than -4, basically a bigger negative number, which makes it actually a smaller number, is going to work. -10 would work. -3 times -10 equals 30, and 30 is greater than 12. So it's the numbers that are smaller than -4 that end up working. So if I go to my number line, I would have to make a number line. I would go to my -4, I'm going to put that here, and it's going to be the numbers going this way, -5, -6. I'm going to open the circle, and I'm going to shade it in going this direction. So when we divide or multiply by a negative number, we have to flip the sign. I'm going to write that right here, and I want you to write it on your paper. When you divide or multiply both sides by a negative number, you must flip the sign. So glue that in and then go grab the worksheet to start practicing on your own. Thanks for watching.